Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Leslie with the New Mexico Small Business Development Center. I'm here today with Eric Spellmann. Today's topic is going to be, does your logo and tagline stack up? Success depends on it. I'm really excited about this topic. I was just telling Eric that during the webinars, he gets me so interested in what he's talking about that I find myself wanting to get online and look at logos and taglines and stuff. So this will be very interesting for everyone. Type your questions in the Q&A throughout the entire webinar because Eric just picks them up at any time and makes sure that everyone has their questions answered. The New Mexico Small Business Development Center also wants to encourage all New Mexico small businesses to be aware of the risk to their cybersecurity. We have a series of pre-recorded on-demand webinars that you can watch on our YouTube channel, and I will be chatting over that link to you. So sit back and learn, does your logo and tagline stack up? Eric?
Oh, thank you, Leslie. Yeah, this is going to be a big topic. And I mean a big topic because no one ever talks about it. This is critical, and so many people, they screw it up. So many people, they think of a logo or a tagline as an afterthought. Some of you out there right now might be wondering, well, I don't even know the difference between the two. Don't worry, we're going to cover it. And this is going to be interactive. We're going to have fun with this one, so get ready. First, let's talk about building a logo. And this is going to kind of be the direction that we go in this talk. I just want to kind of flag it for you a little bit. First, we're going to talk about what is a logo. We're going to talk about the things to consider because you can't just go, oh, it's our logo. No, that's not how it works. We're going to talk about choosing an artist, how you're going to choose someone and the questions you have to ask and the legal issues that you must address. And then I'll throw out a little thing on crowdsourcing it. If you don't know what crowdsourcing is, don't worry, we're going to cover it. But one of the fun things we're going to do is during this presentation, every slide is going to have some logos on it. And so just to kind of prove my point on how important these are, we'll see if you can guess which ones they are. So feel free to use the chat. The one in the top right, does anyone know what that one is? The deer, the yellow deer on the green background. Anyone? I won't do this for all of them. John Deere, that's right. Okay. And let's see, what about the one down here, right here? What's that one? NBC, that's right. And over here, how about this one? This was a tougher one. If you're in the oil industry, you'll recognize it. British Petroleum, BP. Okay, and down here, does anyone know this one? If you work in a bar, you see it all the time. Red Bull logo. And if you have a daughter, you might recognize this one, Girl Scouts. That's right. All of these are logos. So we're going to talk about each one of these and kind of what they mean. So let's first talk about what is a logo. When we talk about a logo, if you need a very simple definition, it's a graphical representation of your company. That's all. It is a symbolic brand meant to remind people of who you are. In other words, when you see the picture, you think of the company. There's some sort of connection between the two. And you've already proved that with the other slide we just went through. You automatically see those symbols and you recognize them and you associate a brand. You associate a company with those symbolic representations. It creates a mental link. And you're saying, well, why do we even need these? I mean, oh my gosh, Eric, why do we have to have these? Because when you see it from a distance, you know what it is. I mean, think about it. You are going down the road and you're too far away from a certain restaurant to read what restaurant it is, but you see those golden arches, and you can see those for a distance. And even if you can't read the word McDonald's, which I don't even put that up there anymore, you see the golden arches and you know exactly what it is. I'm telling you, a logo is meant to be seen from a distance. A logo is meant to be seen and immediately you think of the company name that goes with it. That's all it is. Think of it as a picture. Sometimes there's words on it. We'll talk about that. But for the most part, it's simply a symbol. It's a picture. And it is meant to make you think of the name of that company without having to read a thing. So let's see what we got on this one. Okay, anyone know what this logo is? What is this one? Go back to, that's right, Shell Oil. And this one, come on, everyone knows this one. Come on. This one's easy. Disney, that's right. Although they are switching to kind of a, using their word Disney written in the script. Does anyone know this one? Come on. Anybody? Mercedes, that's right. And interestingly enough, do you know why it was designed that way? Back in the day, it was designed to represent the three places you would find their engines, in the land, the sea, and the air. So they divided it in three quadrants. That's Mercedes. And if you have a teenage son, chances are you see this. Anyone know this one? Under Armour, that's right. Under Armour is a brand, and you can almost see it's kind of a U and an A all put together. It's a very unique yet simple logo. So let's move on. Simple is better. And that's kind of what I want to, that's my point I'm trying to make here. When it comes to logos, you do want simple. Too many people, they get complicated. And I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of words on a logo. I'm really not. You're saying, well, Eric, your logo has words on it. Hey, the New Mexico SPDC, it has words on it. I know, but whenever you have words on a logo, you have to be closer to it to read it. Whereas with like I mentioned, the golden arches, you can be far away and recognize it. Seals are not as good. I'm not a fan of seals. I'm not talking about the little, the barking, swimming creatures. I'm talking about, like a city has a seal, or, like a seal of approval, because there's usually words on them. And that's why I've kind of threw up the Starbucks logo here. I'm okay with the Starbucks logo at the top, the symbolic one. But the ones below it, those two have words on them, and it overcomplicates it a little. Now, I totally get why they did it, because that was the sign outside their shops, and they simply took their sign and made it their logo. So you will see both symbols. They're all part of the same symbol, but technically, in my mind, the top symbol is better, even though it is a little more complicated, in its shapes. It is good, but I'm not a fan of the other ones, mainly because they're kind of like seals, okay? And they do require you to be able to read them. One of the keys is to look at the national brands. The biggest logos out there, the biggest companies out there have the simplest of logos. Just think about it. Think about Nike. Think about Pepsi, McDonald's. The biggest companies out there usually have the simplest logos. Too many times I have someone come up to me and they said, Eric, we built our logo. And I look at it and oh my gosh, it looks like a coat, like a coat of arms you'd find over in England. It's just too complicated. No, keep it simple, because the simpler it is, the further away you can be from it and recognize it. Okay. There's some other advantages as well, though. Making it easy to print and embroider. Think about it. When you print it, and let's say you're doing business cards, if it's a really complicated print, then there's a bigger chance for it to go wrong. And also the number of colors you have in it, which we'll get to in a minute. But also embroidery. Oh my gosh. If you have a very complicated seal type of logo, that's going to be next to impossible to put on a shirt, put on a hat, put on clothing at all. You want the simplest logo you can come up with. The very simplest. I can't say that enough. And you also need to look at what it looks like in black and white. You know, I've seen situations where a client, they chose this beautifully colored, multicolored logo. But then when someone put it on a copier, you know, on their letterhead and printed it in black and white, it just looked like a solid box, you know, of black, just wasting toner. And you couldn't see anything because they hadn't thought, what's it going to look like in grayscale? What's it going to look like in black and white? Whenever you're deciding on your logo, you need to ask those questions. I mean, think about it. Going back to the embroidery thing, they charge based on all the colors you have. And so if you choose every color in the rainbow, it's going to be expensive as heck. You know, try to keep it easy and simple. Also on the number of colors. Excuse me, my allergies are really killing me today. You want to tie it to your product or your service, whatever you do. So I want you to think of what you do. And I want you to think, okay, what product do we sell? What do we solve? Excuse me. And then define what you sell symbolically. So for instance, if you're an arborist, you know, someone who plants trees, then maybe your logo is going to be tree based. You know, if you make a burger, then maybe it's going to be a symbolic version of a burger. You know, think about what you do, but don't choose something complicated. You know, define what you sell symbolically. Like, take a look at the ones below. We have McDonald's, Nike, and Target. Okay. Look what they did. They tied, like McDonald's tied it to their name. They simply took the M of McDonald's and made the golden arches. And in the beginning, it actually said McDonald's. The word McDonald's was actually part of their logo, but they eventually dropped it and just stuck with the golden arches. Nike, okay, look at that swoosh. Look how simple that is. And how did they tie it to their product? Well, it looks like speed. It looks like wind. It looks like something moving. It looks like a comet just streaking through the sky. It's meant to imply motion. And that's what they were trying to imply with that. And it is one of the simplest logos. Look at Target. Obviously, you're going to immediately think the word Target because what? They have a Target. But look, it's just red and white. It is so simple. And like I said, look at the national logos. You know, keep in mind these national companies, I keep saying that. These national companies spent a ton, and I mean a ton of money on marketers, people like me, to tell them what a good logo is. And trust me, I'm giving you the exact same advice as I would give to them. Keep it simple. If you want to learn, watch the big companies because they're the ones who paid for the experts to tell them the human psychology behind stuff. Okay. Going back, colors, you really need to be thinking about colors. The fewer the colors, the better. I mean, take a look at the bottom. There's two Apple logos. One is the old logo and one is the new. One on the left is the old one, and the one on the right is new. When Apple computers first came out, they had that multitude of colors. Okay. And that was their logo for a very long time. But then one day they, bam, just changed it to the outline, just a black apple, same shape, but no colors in it. Why? Because it was simpler. It was easier to focus on the apple instead of seeing the stripes of color. Think about it for a second. When you look at the first apple, you don't immediately think apple. You think there's a whole bunch of colors. I mean, unless you grew up in that time. But on the right, all there is apple. That's all you see. So your mind will more quickly recognize the pattern, the shape, what it is. And when you think apple, what company do you think of? Apple. Just like McDonald's did. They want you to associate that logo with their company. So I tell people, what are your company colors? You know, what is your company all about? Do you already have colors? Do you already have a sign? Do you already have, a lot of times, if you just look in your brick and mortar location, you may already have colors. Maybe they're your favorite colors. Look at your brochures, look at your letterhead. You may already have colors that you use on a regular basis. You know, take a look, the SBDC logo, top left, red, white, and blue, America's SBDC. Those are the official colors of the small business development centers all over the country. And so focus on the colors and what you want people to think when they see those colors. The reason Apple got rid of all those extra colors, not only because it was way expensive in putting those on shirts, it just became a little more edgy by going just solid black. But the biggest psychological reason is that now all you see is an apple. There is no, oh, there's a bunch of stripes. Oh, it's an apple. No, it's just, oh, that's an apple. That's important. You also need to understand complementary colors. In other words, what colors go together. Folks, you think you know what colors go together, but I've seen you dress. Okay, can we talk? I mean, shades of green is not an outfit. So it's best many times to let a graphic designer or someone who understands this concept help you with complementary colors. You may have a main color for your company, a main color for your logo even. The question is, what colors go with that? Well, the way that a professional does that is they don't guess. They don't just hold up a bunch of swatches and go, oh, this looks kind of good. That's not what they do. They have what's called a color wheel. And the reason it's a wheel is because if you look at one, you can Google that if you want. When you look at one color, if you go directly opposite, like draw a line, like you're cutting a pie, that's its complementary color. In other words, guaranteed to go together. So that's kind of a short way. If you can find your color on the color wheel, your main color, you can also find its best complementary color directly opposite of it. So a little bit of advice, but that's how graphic designers do it.
So Eric, I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, my daughter just brought home, she went to one of those dinner parties where they cook and they sell you the cookware. But the logo on the cookware was like a tree. What do you think about logos that don't really go with I kind of understand it, but you were saying like a landscape company, you'd have a tree. What do you think about something that doesn't quite fit with exactly what you're selling?
Well, if the tree somehow ties to the name of the company, I could see that. But a tree does not tie to cookware. I mean, cookware is not made out of wood. There's nothing green about it. It's metal, and I can't see the connection. And so it's going to be harder for if someone, I'll tell you this, if someone were to just show you that tree logo and you don't work for that company, you wouldn't know what it is. You wouldn't know what that was for because it's not logical. And you make a very good point, Leslie. It needs to be logical to where you're going, oh, I see why they did that. Look at the Apple logo on this slide. I see why they did that. Okay. It doesn't have to be explained to me. Whereas the tree logo will probably have to be explained to someone for them to make that connection, don't you think?
Thanks. I was wondering.
Yeah, there's a bank here in Amarillo called First Bank Southwest, and their logo is like this willow tree. I don't get it. I don't get what a tree has to do with the bank, other than maybe saying, they're long lasting, be here forever, blah, blah, blah. But I don't see the connection. Amarillo National Bank, their logo is a very unique version of the letter A. I totally get that. So some letters are better, some logos are better than others. And some people choose logos that make no sense whatsoever. And it's going to be harder for people to link those. It really will. Also keep in mind that colors equal continuity. And what I mean by that is your website, the colors on your website, the colors on your brochures, the colors of the uniforms your people wear, the colors in your business, the colors on your packaging that you send out. All of those need to be consistent. And what they do is no matter where you are, if I'm in your brick and mortar location, or if I'm on your website, or if I'm looking through a print catalog, I'm constantly being reminded of the colors and why they're important. I mean, think about it. John Deere, they actually have their own version of green in so many paints. John Deere green. And what do? They paint all their tractors what? John Deere green. The continuity is amazing with that company, the color continuity. And so basically, you see that color green, you think John Deere. Now, that is a feat in and of itself. If you can actually own a color, and when people see the color, they think of you, that's some of the best marketing out there. Oh, don't plagiarize a logo. Oh, I can't tell you how much trouble you can get in. Sometimes what a small business will do is they'll just Google logos. They'll see one and maybe it looks exactly like what they need. So what do? They go copy it and they put it on their website and they think, oh, no one will ever find that out. They're located over in South America. No one will ever see that there's don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Gather around, children. I'm going to tell you a little story. The story of the city of Amarillo logo. Once upon a time, there was a city who decided to change their logo. They had a complicated logo and it looked old and dated. And so they hired a marketing company. And the marketing company submitted all sorts of new logos, but the city didn't like any of them and rejected them all. Well, an intern that worked in the city suddenly presented a wonderful logo. The city loved it. And this was an intern, someone not even being paid, someone who was just going to, college and was interning with the city. They submitted this logo. The city said, yay, that is the logo. And they made a big deal about it. They started putting it on the trucks and they had a big party one Saturday night. They announced it the next morning, Monday morning. And that's when most of us saw it on Facebook. And I was angry, okay? Because when I saw the new city logo, I was mad that the city hadn't made it like a contest, like let all the graphic firms in Amarillo and just anyone who wants to submit it, let's have a contest out of it. See who can make the logo. No, they hired one company. And then when that didn't work, they used an intern. And so a lot of my graphic design friends were upset because then they never even got a chance. And the logo that got picked had hills on it. Amarillo does not have hills. And yes, we have sunsets and it worked. But I was mad. I was mad for my friends. And then I kept looking at the logo and I thought, something's not right. Something's not right. So what I did was I took the new Amarillo City logo and I did a Google image search on it. In other words, not only can you type words into Google, you can submit an image to Google. And I've talked about how to do this. And Google will go out and find all the images that are similar. Remember, I told you this is a great way to find out where all the pictures of you exist, and also find pictures of people in the world who look just like you. Kind of creepy. Find your doppelganger. It's a lot of fun, the Google image search. But in this case, something didn't feel right. So I Google image searched the Amarillo City logo. And when I did, I'm going to show you both logos. The one on the left will be the City of Amarillo logo, and the one on the right is the one I found. That's what popped up. The one on the right was a petroleum company in Saudi Arabia. Okay. All I did was an image search on the one on the left, and I got the one on the right. So what did I do? What did Eric do? Did he go to the mayor and say, hey, we have a problem, which is what Eric should have done? No. Eric was mad because his friends didn't get to participate. And so what did Eric do? He posted this little shot you see here on Facebook. Oh my gosh. And I said, at least they could have been original. I wrote something sarcastic just like that. It went super viral. It started traveling around. Oh my gosh, the whole state. It made the news. And if you ever go to Google and you do a search on Amarillo logo, you'll read the story. It's a pretty funny story. What's interesting is the lawyer that the city hired to verify that this trademark, this shape wasn't in use somewhere else, claimed he spent 2 days looking. All I did was a simple image search. It took me 2 seconds. And what I'm saying is, it's that easy to find plagiarism in pictures. Did you hear me? It's that easy. Okay. You don't even want to take a chance. So guess what? I think that intern just disappeared. I didn't hear she was fired. She just, who knows, buried in the backyard. I don't know, but she disappeared. And the city came up with a new logo, and they made it more of a contest this time. So be careful. Plagiarism is one of the worst things in the world to be caught. It's one of the most embarrassing things to ever happen to your company if you're the one doing it. The city of Amarillo even talked to this petroleum company in Saudi Arabia and said, hey, please, can we use it? And they said, I wouldn't either. So the city lost a lot of money and had to repaint a lot of trucks. Maybe you're going to choose an artist for your logo. Maybe there's someone in your town, maybe there's a friend of yours who said, hey, I'll make you a logo. And that's fine. I'm happy with using someone to help make a logo. But before you hire them, you need to see their portfolio. You need to ask, have you ever made a logo before? I can't tell you how many times people don't think to even ask those questions. If they never made a logo, then they don't understand the rules I'm even telling you about simplicity. Don't ever settle. Oh my gosh, don't ever settle. And that's because, hear me, your logo won't change. It may be adjusted, but it will never change. Look at McDonald's. It doesn't change. You never change your logo unless you have to. And look at Apple. They maybe got rid of the colors, but the shape stayed exactly the same. Okay? Once you choose a logo, you've chosen it for life. So don't ever just go, oh yeah, that's good, let's do it. Because basically, you are choosing how the rest of the world is going to see your company. And your company may be small now, but it may be huge later. And will that logo still represent? Building a logo and having a logo built for you is so critically important that you get it right the first time. You don't want to make a big new Coke mistake, if you catch my drift. No one wants to make a mistake like that because that's embarrassing. If you are going to hire someone, decide what the pricing is up front. I'm not a fan with you just paying someone by the hour because they will never finish. Did you hear me? They will never finish. You need to get a fixed price for that logo. And you need to say, hey, I'm willing to pay X. Can you make me a logo for X? And that way, you're guaranteed it's going to get done because they're not going to just drag it out, constantly billing you. But probably the most important thing, you need to realize that when someone builds you a graphic, a logo, a website, when an artist creates something like that for you, even if you pay them for it, it doesn't mean you own it. Did you hear me? It doesn't mean you legally own the rights to what they did. You don't own the legal rights to their legal efforts. In the state of Texas and New Mexico, if you build something like that, you still own the intellectual property rights to that thing. And so what I always tell people is you need to make sure that whoever is going to build you that logo releases all rights to that logo that they have, all, and it needs to be in writing. That way, you can use it any way you want. And I've seen situations where someone had a website built for them, and then they got mad at their web developer and they wanted to take their website somewhere else. But the web developer basically said, no, I built this website. You're not taking it. It's like my art. And those people had to get a brand new website built from scratch. Waive the right on the logo. You want 100% ownership on that logo, and you don't want to be held hostage by a graphic designer. Crowdsource it. Now, what is crowdsourcing exactly? Crowdsourcing is kind of like what the city of Amarillo eventually did, where they make it into a contest, where they let a whole bunch of people compete, and the winner is the vendor that gets to do the thing. So you can crowdsource a logo very easily. One of the easiest ways to find, there's a lot of companies that do it. You can just go to Google and you can type crowdsource logos. Okay. And you're going to get a whole bunch of companies that will do this. And basically, the way it works is you fill out a questionnaire. Okay. Like 99designs.com is my favorite. Costs you about $300. And so basically you go there, you fill out a questionnaire, and they're going to ask you questions about your company. Remember, they're going to be building a logo for you. So they're going to be asking questions about your company, and some of them may seem weird. You know, how, kind of a, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be kind of questions. But it's important because they want to know the look and feel you're going for. So they're going to ask questions like, what are your, what colors do you see with this logo? Is it an organic or is it corporate? Is it futuristic? Is it classic? They're going to ask you some questions trying to feel you out on what you like. And there's a whole bunch of questions, and they're very good at asking these. So you fill out the question, and then what happens is you pay your $300, okay? And then 99 Designs or these other companies, they send out your little project request, with the answers to your questionnaire about a logo. And oh, by the way, they even have you upload some logos you like, from other companies. They're not going to duplicate them. And 99 Designs and most of these sites have the ability to check for plagiarism, and they do. But it helps if they know what you like. These artists want to make exactly what you want them to do. So $300, all of a sudden it's sent out. It goes out to maybe 1,000 graphic designers all around the world. And within a few hours, guess what? You start getting logos. I'm not kidding. In fact, 99 Designs gives you 7 days. That's how long it's going to take for this whole process, 7 days. So they send out your project. Within a few hours, when you log into 99 Designs, you're going to start getting logo suggestions from graphic designers all around the world. And it's really kind of cool because they just start pouring in. I usually end up with, I guess, a total of 80 to 100 when it's all said and done. And so what you do at that point is you go through them and you say, I like this one, I don't like that one. And you can vote a lot of them off the island pretty quick. And that's what you do. You can just say, nope, sorry. Now, others, you're going to go, ooh, I kind of like where they're going with this, but I'm wondering if they could change this or change that. And yeah, you can request that. You can request, say, adjust this, adjust that, darken this color, soften that curve, make the points sharper. You can request all that. And they'll usually reply back, I mean, quick. And so what ends up happening is you end up voting off most of the people until you get down to your top 3. And then you just kind of go back and forth with each of the designer, and then you're going to get some of their opinions from people around your company and people that matter on whether they like it or not. And then when it's all said and done, within 7 days, you pick the winner. And that winner is the one who gets the majority of the $300. That's how it works. And you end up getting a logo, and you get all legal rights to it. They give up any kind of intellectual property rights to it. It works great, and it is a contest. And so that's why they're so Johnny on the spot. That is why they react so quickly, is because it is a contest, and they're very good at it. And then, like I said, the winner gets your fee. And no, I don't make any money if you go to 99 Designs. And a lot of people say, but Eric, I want to use someone local. I want my money to go to our local graphic designers. Okay, I get that from a do business locally standpoint. But here's the deal. Listen up. Your logo is so important. Your logo is so very important. And I would rather have the imaginations and the creativity of 100 people than just one. Because when you limit it to just one person's ideas, you're pretty much limited your logo to be just their idea. I've used 99 Designs, and there's a lot of other companies out there too, but I've used 99 Designs with a lot of my clients, and my clients have been pleased as punch. So I highly recommend you at least take a look at them, and you can find, I'm telling you, it works really well, and it's very, very cost effective. Let's talk a little bit about taglines. Now, what is a tagline? A tagline is basically a phrase associated with your company. Okay. In other words, it's not a logo, it's not a symbol, it's words. It's always words. So, like, look below, Subway, eat fresh. And then I think most of you will recognize it's finger licking good. We know what they're talking about, right? Kentucky Fried Chicken. Those are what we call taglines. And what they're trying to do with a tagline is they're trying to connect those words to the company. That when you hear those words, like said in a commercial, a TV commercial, you automatically assume the company. And you might even say the words yourself. And a lot of times these companies will incentivize you to say those words. Now, hey, want a 20% discount? When you check out, say it's finger licking good. And what they're trying to do is just kind of basically beat that into your brain. Now, one of the main differences between a tagline and a logo is that it can change. Taglines change all the time. You know, I mean, McDonald's, they basically change their tagline once every couple of years. Coca-Cola, have a Coke and a smile. You know, people change their tagline. Some don't. Some leave them pretty much the same. But a tagline is something that you can change. Not your logo, but the tagline can. But I would recommend that you, in order to get some groundswell under it, in order to get people actually thinking about it, remembering it, might even be saying it, is that you need to let it go at least a year to 2 years before you change it. It's a great way to kind of remind people what you do, and maybe even a new product that you're about to sell. A good tagline is short. I do not want a letter of recommendation. Okay. I do not want a long paragraph. It needs to be as short as possible. Now, people, they always say, Eric, I can never come up with a tagline. I don't know what a good tagline is. I have writer's block. So think about the value that you bring. Okay. Think about the value that your product brings to people, because you've heard me say this before, and I'll just say it again. No one wants what you sell. And if this is one of your first videos to see, that probably sounded very rude. I mean, but I'm being truthful as all get out. No one wants the product you sell. No one wants the services you offer. They don't want them. They want the value they bring. No one wants a shovel. They want a hole. And sometimes business owners forget, and they think that their product is what customers actually want, when it's not. They want what that product will do for them. They want the value of that product, not the product itself. If they could avoid buying that product and get the same value, they would. And so you need to start talking about the value that you bring. A good tagline doesn't have to be about your products. You'll notice on It's Finger Licking Good, they're not mentioning chicken at all. The word chicken's not even in there. What are they creating? They're talking about a visual that you get in your head. And why do you lick your fingers? because it was so good, it's worth licking your fingers. You follow me? So what value are they talking about? Taste. That is the value, one of the values that their product brings. Subway, eat fresh. Eat fresh is their tagline. Notice they don't talk about sandwiches in their tagline. What do they talk about? One of their values, one of their competitive advantages. They're talking about we have fresh ingredients. Do you see what I'm saying? A tagline doesn't need to necessarily represent your products. It needs to represent the value that your products bring. So let's have a little test on taglines, okay? Because I promise you, you know a lot more than you realize, okay? So I'm going to open up the chat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some taglines. And then I'm watching the chat. So let's see if you know what companies these taglines go with. And we're going to talk about each one. Here we go. A diamond is forever. What company is that the tagline for? Not Sales. Sales plays with that a little bit, but it was originally by De Beers. Okay, the De Beers diamond. People who control all the diamonds. They're the ones who came up with that, which is actually a fascinating story when you think about it. Diamonds are a lot more common than you realize. The only reason they're so expensive, is because when they're mined, they're kept. And they're kept in big vaults, and there's just tons and tons of diamonds kept somewhere. So they're not just flowing around freely. And so De Beers actually controls the majority of the diamonds on the planet. And so one of the things they try to say with their tagline is what? A diamond is forever. What are they implying? Diamonds are used in relationships. Diamonds are used in weddings. And so they're trying to imply that just as a diamond is forever, your love for that person is forever as well. So think about what they're doing with their tagline. Here comes another one. Let's see how you do. Are you ready? Just do it. Who's that? Nike. That's right, Jim. And Drew, it's Nike. Now, why did they choose that tagline? Number one, it's incredibly short. It's wonderful. I love that tagline. Okay. But also, what does it imply? It implies that there's a challenge, maybe a challenge that's scary, something you've never done before. And you've got that coach right there going, just do it. Win this thing. Get out there. It's motivational. Okay. Just do it implies that you got to be tough. Like you got to push through this. Like it's going to be hard, but you're going to do it. I love it. And it's 3 words. 3 words. And it's so open-ended because they don't tell you what just do it, what you're supposed to do. It's kind of what you want to do. And it doesn't even have to be physical. It could be mental. It could be like get the new job. Just do it. It's motivational. It's an amazing tagline. It's so simple. Okay. I'm loving it. Who's that? McDonald's. That's right. Mickey D's. That's right, Jim and Rachel. You got it. I'm loving it. Now, you'll notice that their tagline doesn't mention their product. It doesn't mention a hamburger. It simply says, I'm loving it. Why in the world would McDonald's choose that as a tagline? Well, number one, it's short, just like the Nike one. 3 words. And what is it implying? It's implying the value. Remember, we talked about that. The tagline talks about the value that your product brings, the value that your service brings. It talks about a competitive advantage that your product has. So in this case, they're basically telling you what the result of you making a purchase at McDonald's will be. They're making a promise. You're going to love it. And if you think about it, one of the things that makes McDonald's so popular is their consistency. You know that if you go to a McDonald's in New York and you go to a McDonald's in Amarillo, Texas, you're going to get roughly the same tasting burger. the same. Why? Because McDonald's controls at the very strongest level all of their ingredients, the entire process from beginning to end. So you're guaranteed a consistent burger no matter where you eat it at McDonald's. That way, no matter what town you're in, you know it's always safe to go to a McDonald's. Okay? So what they were trying to do was connect the I'm loving it to McDonald's. Can you hear me now? Who's that? Verizon. That's right. Do you all remember those commercials? That guy, he's on his cell phone, he's walking. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Now, it's a little longer, but once again, you notice it doesn't talk about phones, does it? It talks about what? It talks about one of their competitive advantages. And one of the things Verizon was trying to push, because remember, Verizon was competing with these national companies. Verizon was a little company. They were competing with the nationals, and they were trying to say, you know what? Our phones and everything use the same towers as everybody else, and they could not get that message across. And so what they were trying to say was, hey, if you use us, we know we're a smaller company, but if you use us, you know, we have better coverage. And then Verizon started making their own towers and started filling in some of the gaps out there. And so back in the day, and many of y'all remember this, there were dead areas for cell phones, and you knew it. We don't have as many today as we used to. But you remember there were parts of highways, there were parts of different, even parts in your city sometimes, where you had no cell service. There were gaps. So Verizon was talking about one of their biggest values, and that is coverage. Okay, Breakfast of Champions. What's that? Yeah, I remember the monkeys on that one, Francis. Okay, Breakfast of Champions. What product uses that? Wheaties. That's right, Wheaties. Think about it. They're basically saying winners eat Wheaties. Okay. And when you're an athlete, and that's why they put winners on the cover on those boxes, because they want to associate their product with what? Winning. And almost making the implication that if you eat right, you're going to win. And that this product helps you eat right. Breakfast of Champions. It is one of the best taglines. And I'll be honest, this is one of the few companies who has really never changed their tagline. Their tagline is as strong as their logo. And they've never changed it because they've never had to. And now that the Olympics are over, I guarantee you, Wheaties is going to get some notoriety. You're going to see some of these Olympians on the boxes. And they've really taken that to an amazing level when it comes to marketing. So Breakfast of Champions, Wheaties. Where's the beef? Now remember those commercials? Who's that? Wendy's. That's right, Jim. Wendy's. Okay. Now, what is this one about? It's a funny thing. And yes, the commercials were hilarious because it was a little old lady. And she was funny to watch. And it was so entertaining. But think about this statement. Where's the beef? Once again, it's a 3-word tagline. And those are some of the best. Look, Breakfast of Champions, 3 words. The shorter, the better. What did I tell you? Where's the beef? What was it implying? It was implying that their competitors had less beef in their hamburgers. Remember, Wendy's would make the square, the little corn. Their burgers were squares, and because they were squares and not circles, Wendy's patties actually had a little more beef in them. Does that make sense? And so they wanted to tell you that if you ate a Wendy's burger, you're getting more beef in that burger. And the way to do that was by talking about how little beef there is in their competitors' burgers. So where's the beef? Once again, it talks about one of their competitive advantages. Okay, here comes the next one. Think differently. This one might be a little tougher, but my techie friends should get this. My creative techie friends. That's right, Apple. That is the Apple tagline. Okay, think differently. And basically, remember, Apple's the one who discovered the mouse, not discovered, invented the mouse. No one had ever seen a mouse before then. A Mac. The first Macs had mice. And they thought differently. They designed, even the look of their computers were different than, say, the normal IBM, all nerdy looking boxes. And so that's what they were trying to say was, you know what? We think differently. We're more creative. We're more artsy. We're not all utilitarian like IBM, you know? We're not all have ugly products, which most computers back then were. So Apple wanted to talk how they were different. Because remember, Apple was smaller than IBM. Apple was smaller than HP and Acer and all those companies. So they had to figure out a way to still compete because everything they did was different. And so they thought, think differently. Okay, here's the next one. This bud's for you. Come on, this one easy. Easy one. Budweiser, that's right. And they actually used the name of the product in their tagline. I mean, it's a forward tagline. And they're making it sound like you're being given a gift. Someone just asked, what is your favorite source for checking tagline copyrights? Actually, I just Google it. In other words, I would put, if you're interested in a tagline, I would put that tagline in quotes. In other words, put a quote at the beginning of it, quote at the end of it, and type that into Google. When you put quotes around a phrase in Google, you're basically forcing it to find those words in that order. And so it's an easy way to see if someone's using something like that. And I know that sounds so low tech, but that's what I would do. Because a major company using it, it would pull up almost immediately. So this bud's for you, basically saying, you know what, you've had a hard day. This bud's for you. You've earned it. Okay. Making it like a reward, like a Budweiser was a reward, giving it positivity, giving it as valuable. Okay. Okay. The next one, the Uncola. Who's that? Nope, not Pepsi. Not Pepsi. 7-Up. That's right. It's 7-Up. Now, why was it called the Uncola? Because when 7-Up first came out, basically there was just dark colas, Coca-Cola, you know, Dr. Pepper, all dark. 7-Up was clear. And what they were trying to do was say, we're not that. We're not like a Coke. We're not like a Dr. Pepper. Yes, we're carbonated, but we're clear. We're different. We're not a cola. Don't put us in that group. We're worth trying because we're different. And so they decided to call themselves the Uncola in order to separate themselves from a large group of people making, well, colas. Don't leave home without it. What tagline is that for? Don't leave home without it. American Express, that's right. You see how these taglines have worked on y'all? Y'all are the ones coming up with this. You didn't even know you had these associations in your head, but enough advertising happens and they will stay. Don't leave home without it. Now think about it. Why did they say that? It's kind of a longer tagline, but why did they choose that one? They're implying that a lot of people accept it. You follow me? That if you leave your American Express at home, you might get in a situation where you can't pay for something. And so they're saying, don't leave home without it. Almost making it sound like it's your safety net. It's, you know, you can always buy something on American Express, you know, it's different. And so that's what they were trying to imply. Let's see the next one. Reach out and touch someone. Who's that? Reach out and touch someone. AT&T, that's right. And now, once again, AT&T was trying to push their value. Notice they're not talking about phones. The AT&T is talking about the value of phones. No one wants a phone. They want to talk to somebody who's far, 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 far away. That's why people use phones. Okay. So reach out and touch someone was basically implying the value. Are you starting to understand the difference between the value in your product? Every one of these taglines pretty much talks about the value that their products bring to people, not necessarily about the product itself. Here's the last one. What's in your wallet? What brand is that? What product? What's in your wallet? Nope, not Chase. Well, sort of. Capital One. That's right. Capital One. That is the Capital One. And what's in your wallet? And what are they trying to imply there? They're trying to imply that it's the card you need to have, you know. And who do they use? They use tough people to say, what's in your wallet? You know, are you a tough guy? Do you got what it takes? This is the card that you need if you want to get it done. This is they're making it sound like popular people have it. What's in your wallet? Oh, really? It's just one of those? Oh, you got a Capital One. So they're implying that you need to keep it and you need to have it in your wallet. And they're implying that it's one of those things that everyone needs to have. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you understand how important having a logo and a tagline are. And remember, a copy of this presentation you'll have access to it. So if you want to download it or take a look at it again, you can, or just watch this video again. And also, you're actually going to watch TV a little differently now. When you watch commercials, you're going to start hearing taglines and you're going to understand what they are. So start thinking of what a tagline for your company is. And remember, it's not about your product. It's about the value that it brings. Any questions?
While we're waiting for any questions, I want to remind everyone that we have a whole series of webinars coming up. Just this week alone, we have Transitioning to the New Normal, a bilingual session. We have Basic Steps to Starting a Business in New Mexico. We have Cash is King, cash management for your small business. We have Eric back on Friday for cryptocurrency. You guys have to come and see that. Don't forget, registration does close 24 hours in advance, so get signed up or email me if you're having any problems. I'll be glad to help you get registered for any of these webinars. And there is a question: how do you do a Google image search?
Go to images.google.com. The website is images.google.com. And it looks just like a Google search page, but you're searching images. And one of the options is to upload an image. Okay. And so you do that and it'll find every similar image out there. And it's crazy. I'm telling you, you put a picture of yourself in there, it will freak you out how many people look like you.
I believe we have you, Eric. I believe we did a webinar on that. Check out our YouTube channel because Eric's a whole series of Eric's webinars are on there for you guys to view at any time. And I'm almost positive that he had something.
We did. I've mentioned it before, and I think it had to do with how to detect plagiarism with your images or something like that.
That was it. That was it. So if there's not any more questions, and Jim says great info once again. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Eric, as always. Oh, we have another. Oh my gosh, you are getting the compliments today. Thank you. Your tips.
You're gonna have to write those checks now.
Thank you. Your tips are really clear and advice straightforward, really helpful. You're always as much motivational as you are informational.
Thank you, Rachel. Eric. Thank you, Drew. I hope
you
to see you on the next one.
We'll see you at the next one. You guys have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Bye-bye.